They said the owl knew everything. That deep within Gloamwood Forest, beyond the shifting trees and the whispering winds, sat an ancient creature that could answer any question, but only if you were brave enough to ask. Those who sought its wisdom rarely returned, and if they did, they were never the same. Elliot Graves was desperate enough to try. The nightmares had started after his mother vanished. His house felt occupied by something unseen, shadows stretching in unnatural ways, voices echoing in the walls. The townspeople whispered that his family had always been cursed, that his mother's disappearance was merely the next piece of a puzzle, stitched together by darkness, and the only way to unravel it was to seek the talking owl. The air was thick as Elliot entered the forest, the trees stretching impossibly high, their branches gnarled like grasping fingers. The moonlight barely penetrated the mist that coiled around his ankles, curling like something alive. Each step forward felt heavier, like the forest itself wanted him to turn back. The stories told of travelers who lost time, of people who walked in circles for days until madness set in. But Elliot pressed on, gripping the lantern in his shaking hands. Then, the whispers started. Elliot, ... He froze. The voice had come from behind him, though he was utterly alone. His breath hitched as he turned, but nothing was there, just the dark, endless woods. It's the forest playing tricks on me, he thought. Nothing more. He pressed on. The deeper he went, the stranger things became. The sky above shifted unpredictably, cycling between twilight and total darkness. The trees swayed without wind. At one point, he stepped over something soft and fleshy, but when he looked down, the ground was normal. Then, in the clearing ahead, he saw it, a massive oak tree, its trunk hollowed into a dark, yawning maw. And within that hollow, it waited. The owl was massive, its feathers an unnatural white that seemed to glow in the dark. Its eyes golden, piercing, impossibly deep watched him without blinking. Elliot swallowed. The owl cocked its head. You seek wisdom. The voice was not that of an animal. It was something lower, guttural, layered like more than one voice speaking at once. Elliot hesitated. He could feel something shifting in his mind, like unseen hands flipping through his memories. He had expected an answer, but now, standing before the owl, he realized he was terrified of the truth, but it was too late to turn back. Yes, he whispered. I need to know the truth. The owl blinked once, and then it spoke. You have come here before, Elliot. The words sent a chill through his bones. What? The owl continued, its voice dripping with certainty. This is not your first time standing before me, nor the second, nor the 100th. Elliot's vision blurred. That couldn't be true. Then, the forest shifted, and for the first time, he noticed them, the bodies, scattered around the base of the tree, barely visible in the mist, were corpses. Dozens of them, all of them were Elliot. Some were fresh, their faces frozen in terror. Others were skeletal, their bones twisted unnaturally. Some were half buried in the roots, as if the forest had been feeding on them. Elliot stumbled back, his breath ragged. No, this is a trick. The owl merely watched. Every time you come here, you ask for wisdom. And every time, you learn the truth. Elliot shook his head violently. What truth? That your mother did not disappear. His pulse thundered in his ears. What are you saying? The owl's beak twisted into a grin, possibly human. You killed her. A wave of memory slammed into him. His mother hunched over, whispering to herself, her voice warping into something inhuman. The darkness in the walls growing thicker. She had begged him to stop her, before it was too late. The knife had been in his hands. He had done it, and then he had forgotten. The owl watched, golden eyes unblinking. This is your curse, Elliot. You seek wisdom, and wisdom damns you. Elliot trembled, the weight of his past selves pressing down on him. Had he done this before? Had he learned this truth, died, and returned again and again? He gritted his teeth. How do I stop this? The owl chuckled. You already know the answer. Elliot's hands curled into fists. Was escape even possible? Or was this just another loop? The corpses around him suggested the latter. Elliot's breathing slowed. The owl wanted him to ask. It fed on curiosity. So what if he didn't? He straightened, his voice steady. I don't want to know anymore. The owl's grin vanished. Its eyes flickered with something ancient and unreadable. Are you certain? Elliot clenched his fists. Yes. The owl let out a low, unnatural laugh, and the world collapsed. Elliot woke in his bed, gasping for air. The house was silent, no whispers, no shadows moving, just the soft rustling of leaves outside. He exhaled, almost laughing. He had escaped. A faint noise made his breath catch. He turned to the window. Perched on the sill was a small white owl. Its golden eyes gleamed in the moonlight. It didn't speak, it didn't move, but Elliot could feel it watching, waiting, because one day he would ask again, and the owl always answered. Thanks for watching, and subscribe my channel.